He's never been to Atlanta, but in other cities yet.
Porsha, you look like you have something to say.
You know, you stated everything about the guy except for showing him. And it's just very clear that there is no African prince for you. There never was. You never met the guy. You never talked to the guy. You just recently tried to pay somebody to be on the show. About $15,000, a singer, African-Nigerian singer.
Okay, that's it. First of all, excuse me, I'm talking now.
Anyway,
first of all, she's talking about it. That's something that is a story that originated from media takeout.
It's not a story.
I know a person named Devon, and I've done many appearances from him. Excuse me, I'm talking.
If that touches me, I'm going up your ass, bitch.
Please shut up. You do not have the right to talk.
Bitch, don't point that at me. Don't point that at me. That's right. Don't point your point at me. I'm not playing with you.
You need to be quiet.
Like I said, I know the guy who.
What the hell is that for?
I know the guy who actually. Are we bringing props now?
Yes, we're bringing props because clearly,
if you blow that over here, it's gonna be a real problem.
You missing batteries.
Yes, it is.
Your props. You gotta at least have them together now.
I know, right?
Oh, you can't be trying to put it together in front of everybody.
When you get ready to talk with adults,
What I will not do is have you talk over me, okay? So as I was saying, the person that you're gonna let her talk about, Andy, is a singer named Devon.
you appreciate that all up in your ear like that.
So anyway, the person that she's talking about is a friend that I've done appearances with. We even joked about it on Twitter that, media came out with some ridiculous story. So that's just simply not true.
Okay.
His mother actually called a friend of mine.
I'm not going to be
and told her.
lied on.
Anyway, his mother called a friend of mine and told her that she had approached him to be on.
That's when everything snapped. Cameras rolling. Voices overlapping. Fingers pointing. Props raised. Denials shouted. And then, allegedly, Porsha lunged. Security rushed in. Screams filled the studio. In seconds, gossip turned into a moment no one could undo. Now the internet is split. Clout chase or truth bomb? Victim or villain? One thing is certain, this isn't just gossip anymore. This is fallout. And the silence that followed may be the most dangerous part of all. Y'all, what you're about to hear didn't just shake reality TV, it ripped the mask clean off. For years, whispers followed Porsha Williams like a shadow. At first, they were quiet. Then they grew louder. Rumors no one wanted to say on camera. Stories producers allegedly knew, cast members allegedly joked about off mic, and insiders allegedly warned would explode one day. Well, that day is here. Because this time, it didn't come from the blogs. It didn't come from anonymous sources. It came from Kenya Moore, on record, unfiltered, and allegedly done staying silent. According to explosive claims, Porsha's recent self-discovery wasn't a beginning. It was a cover. Kenya alleges that behind the polished interviews and emotional confessions was a double life stretching back years, secret same-sex relationships, overlapping affairs, and a carefully protected image designed to survive reality TV fame. And suddenly, fans started rewinding old footage. Party clips. Reunion moments. Scenes once laughed off as playful now felt uncomfortable. Patterns began forming. Screenshots resurfaced. What once looked like growth began to look, to some, like damage control. Then came the accusation that shifted everything. Not just cheating. Not just secrecy. But alleged risks, whispered concerns insiders say were never proven, never documented, yet heavy enough to darken the entire narrative. No records. No confirmations. Just a silence so loud it fueled the fire, and just when the room couldn't get hotter, Kenya dropped another bomb. The infamous African prince relationship. Allegedly fake. Allegedly staged. Allegedly so desperate for airtime that a singer was offered $15,000 to help sell the story.
You have been the villain since day one. You have laughed at me and Phaedra and any other woman on the sofa who you felt threatened by from the very beginning. And then now you're the victim. That's really confusing to me. And that's ridiculous and it's irritating.
You know, it's unfortunate that some people don't pick up a dictionary to understand what the meanings of words are. But
What word?
Well, victim, because certainly I will never claim to be anybody's victim, and I will never be anyone's victim.
She's playing victim. She wants everybody to sorry for her. Now she wants to make us feel like we're not supposed to.
I'm talking. Please be quiet. You will not talk over me.
You've learned. Keep it real
What
close to
I'm
your
trying
lips.
to say is,
Anyway, like I was saying,
she's sitting
I
here as
feel
a
like
single woman because her man put her out.
Buckle up, because what unfolded behind the bright lights of reality television wasn't scripted drama. It was the slow collapse of a carefully protected image. And the fallout was allegedly far more brutal than anyone expected. For years, Porsha Williams lived beneath a halo of charm, vulnerability, and perfectly timed redemption arcs. She laughed. She cried. She evolved, or at least that's what viewers were led to believe. But behind the scenes, whispers followed her everywhere. Quiet conversations in dressing rooms. Side glances at reunions. Sentences that stopped the moment cameras started rolling. Allegedly, none of this was new. It was delayed. Sources close to production claim there were long-standing rumors about Porsha living a double life. Not just overlapping relationships with men, but alleged romantic involvement with women that never made it to air. Not because it didn't exist, but because it was inconvenient. According to insiders, the concern wasn't exposure. It was backlash. Brand deals. Ratings. Image control. Silence became the easiest option. Then Porsha spoke publicly about her sexuality. The internet erupted with praise. Healing. Growth. Courage. Fans rushed to defend her, framing it as a powerful moment of self-discovery. But almost immediately, another narrative began bubbling beneath the applause. Because to some, especially those who claimed they'd been watching from the inside, this wasn't an awakening. It was a rebrand. That's where Kenya Moore allegedly stepped in. According to claims attributed to Kenya, what the public was seeing wasn't a beginning, but a carefully softened reveal of something that had been happening for years. She allegedly suggested that Porsha's same-sex relationships weren't experimental or recent, but part of a hidden pattern insiders had long known about, and quietly avoided. Allegedly, these relationships overlapped. Allegedly, people were hurt. Allegedly, the truth was buried beneath contracts and controlled narratives. Once those claims hit the air, fans did what they always do. They went digging. Old footage resurfaced. Party clips once dismissed as playful suddenly felt tense. Reunion moments replayed with new context. Jokes that landed awkwardly years ago now looked like red flags. Patterns emerged where coincidence used to live, and the more people looked, the harder it became to unsee. What darkened the situation wasn't just alleged infidelity or secrecy. It was the insinuation, never proven, never documented, that people close to Porsha had concerns that went beyond emotion. Alleged health-related worries. Alleged risks insiders say were whispered about, but never confronted publicly. No records. No confirmations. Just implications heavy enough to shift the entire tone of the conversation. At that point, this stopped being gossip and started looking like a credibility crisis. Porsha, meanwhile, leaned deeper into emotional transparency. Interviews grew more fragile. Tears flowed. She spoke about loneliness, exhaustion, and the desire to step away from relationships altogether. To supporters, it felt raw and human. To critics, it felt strategic. Allegedly, instead of addressing specific accusations, the focus shifted to pain, and pain is harder to question without looking cruel. Media analysts began pointing out a familiar playbook. Say just enough to appear honest. Say too little to be accountable. Let empathy drown out interrogation. And for a while, it worked. Sympathy dominated comment sections. Doubt stayed quiet, until it didn't. More clips resurfaced. More insiders spoke anonymously. Then another contradiction hit the timeline, Porsha's past religious sermons. Old recordings, where she spoke critically about LGBTQ identities, circulated alongside her present-day openness. For some viewers, it signaled growth. For others, it raised uncomfortable questions. Growth requires explanation. Silence invites suspicion. Then came the allegation that reignited everything. Kenya Moore reportedly accused Porsha of fabricating the infamous African Prince storyline, a relationship that once captivated viewers. According to the claim, there was no prince, no real connection, no private romance, just a narrative allegedly built for screen time. Even more explosively, Kenya allegedly stated that a singer was offered up to $15,000 to help sell the illusion on camera. That accusation didn't just challenge Porsha's honesty. It challenged the integrity of the show itself. Tension exploded during a live taping. Voices overlapped. Accusations flew. Props were lifted. Fingers pointed. Kenya allegedly stood firm, repeating that her claims didn't come from blogs, but from people inside the industry who were tired of staying silent. Porsha denied everything, insisting her words were twisted, but denial didn't cool the room. Witnesses say the atmosphere turned volatile in seconds. Years of restraint cracked under pressure. And then, allegedly, Porsha lunged. Cameras rolling. Audience watching. Security rushing in. The studio erupted into chaos. Screams echoed. For a moment, it didn't feel like television. It felt real. That single moment reframed everything.
You sitting up here you are a dumb call. Shut up. Yeah, you want to hear me? You up. I will get fired.
We're not doing this.
Suddenly, the question wasn't whether the allegations were true, it was why the reaction was so extreme. Why violence instead of dismissal? Why rage instead of clarity? Supporters argued she was pushed too far. Critics argued that pressure reveals truth. After the incident came silence. No lawsuit. No detailed rebuttal. No full denial. Just fragments, statements without substance. And silence in a scandal this loud rarely reads as neutral. The internet split instantly. One side accused Kenya of clout chasing. The other insisted that consistent allegations don't materialize out of thin air. And floating between both camps was a growing unease, because this no longer looked like harmless reality drama. It looked like collapse. What's most disturbing isn't what's been said, it's what hasn't. The lack of closure. The unanswered questions. The sense that this story was edited, paused, but never resolved. Allegedly, more people know more than they are saying. Allegedly, contracts are involved. Allegedly, this is far from over. Because when a public image fractures this violently, it's rarely the end of the story. It's the opening act. The silence that followed didn't calm anything down. It made everything louder. Within hours of that explosive on-camera moment, timelines flooded with slowed-down clips, zoomed-in screenshots, and frame-by-frame breakdowns of Porsha's reaction. Commentators didn't just ask what happened. They asked why it happened the way it did. According to multiple voices watching from the outside, anger like that doesn't come from nowhere. Allegedly, it comes from pressure, from cracks that finally split open. Behind the scenes, insiders claimed the atmosphere had been tense long before cameras captured the chaos. People familiar with production described last-minute conversations, hushed warnings, and a growing sense that something uncontrollable was about to surface. Allegedly, producers feared exactly what happened, not because it would hurt ratings, but because it risked exposing how fragile the entire narrative really was. Once the episode aired, the courtroom of public opinion went into session. Evidence was presented in the form of old interviews, archived sermons, reunion sound bites, and forgotten social media posts. None of it definitive. None of it legally binding. But together, it formed a mosaic that left viewers deeply uncomfortable. Patterns don't need proof to feel convincing. They only need repetition. Because nothing changes when people scroll past. But everything shifts when questions get louder. So don't just watch this story fade. Talk about it. Challenge the silence. Share this before it gets buried, before the narrative gets rewritten, before the next distraction takes its place. Because when the noise dies down, the damage remains. And the truth doesn't disappear just because everyone stopped looking.